Hello, welcome to MindBody TV. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo, and today I'm going to share about the inner game of surrender. The reason this is so important, so essential, is because every moment we are either living in a level of contraction that is disrupting our life force, preventing us from having everything our heart desires, and suppressing our health, or we are allowing even just a little expansion, openness, receptivity to the moment, to the now, to life force and our power that allows healing and leads to the creation of everything our heart is desiring. And when we can become in a moment-to-moment relationship with life, we can see which one we are up to. So welcome, I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I am a physician sharing about how the body heals itself, how the mind and body are connected, and how our consciousness affects what's happening in our body. I look forward to hearing where you are tuning in from, so share where you're from and what is coming up for you right now. As we go through the broadcast, I would love to hear your questions, comments, ahas, insights, or triggers of where like something's not quite landing, and we will be taking one or two comments each week to create some videos and clips to bring you deeper into the work. So let's jump in. What is the inner game? What is surrender? I learned many years back about the inner game of tennis. And not only because I love tennis, but Tim Galloway's work is really about that inner choice to open and allow life force to come through and play the game, or contract, where we're going to control and try to be better. And this was the exact process that was happening for me when I found I was very, very sick with a severe autoimmune disease, trying to heal myself. And in the inner game of tennis and the subsequent books that were written, because it was such a powerful book, they wrote The Inner Game of Golf. And I did a broadcast years back about the inner game of healing, because it's all the same thing. He outlined this concept of the two selves. You have self one and self two. Self one is the small self. It's the personal self who's like, I really want to be good at this. It's the ego self, the small self. And self one wants to be good at tennis and wants to like prove myself. I got this, wants to be the victor, wants to be proud of myself. The ego wants a lot of things, but it wants them from a sense of, I am not already whole and complete. When I get this thing or do this thing, then I'll finally feel my wholeness and completion. Okay? Self two is the I am self. I am self, which is the creator space that created you and is still moving through you right now. And when we let go, this is the self that shows up. This is the space that created the massive complexity of the majesty of the human body and everything we see here. This is the self that is right now healing your skin, your liver, your kidneys, pumping your heart, detoxifying in your liver, doing the whole thing. You don't even have to know. This is the true self, right? Self two. Self two already knows, I am whole. I am a wonderful piece of creation. I am amazing and I am beautiful. And self two can learn to hit the ball. Who knew, right? So it's not this idea of like, well, yeah, there's that self that like handles all that is, but then I gotta do the small self because like I gotta pay my mortgage. Self two does not leave anything out. It has the ability to learn how to hit the ball, to learn how to hit it exactly the way we need to hit it to win the game. So self too can actually show up and engage in the realm of our life in a way that is a win. We, the inner game of tennis, we're talking about, your success. You got to hit the ball over the net, get it in the other side, and it can learn to do that in a way that creates that quote success. Just like self too, if you were to let go, can figure out your life. Can figure out how to get the bills paid, or get the kids fed, or get your body healed, or whatever may be on your heart's true desire list and plan. So there's a couple of things we want to look at here. What's the difference between the ego desire and the heart's true desire, which is what self too is fully equipped to deliver? So we've got to look at that, how surrender lets us know the difference. When we are in the self one, the ego self, we are in control. Oh, I can't let go. I have to do it. We are in fear. We are in the fight or flight nervous system, right? Trying to do it through the small me, who's actually very limited. We are holding on to attachment, right? Like, I can't surrender. Things won't work out. I can't surrender. I gotta have it this way. It was like many years back when I was in residency, my friend, Dr. Sinica Green, said to me, Kim, it's like you're saying, full universe and all of divinity. I know you got everything in my life completely covered, but like this part over here, I'm really particular about this. So I'm just gonna handle this myself. And it was so funny because that was exactly what I was doing over whatever it was at the time. And I remembered that over and over through my life, because how funny is it to do that, right? Like, well, this thing's really important. Self too has got you covered. And so to realize we can let go and allow self two to step in, to learn the game, to play the game, to win the game, which is the creation of our true success, is what we're meant to do. But self one has all these ideas, but it has to be like this, but I have to make sure this, and conclusions about what's supposed to happen or what has to happen. And guess what? They're all false. Self one is a fabrication, is a delusion made up of all the beliefs, traumas, programming that you've had in your system about who you think you are. Who you truly are is a work of majesty, is an infinite being showing up as a singular, is free, right? You're free to live. You're free to grow, to learn the game, to correct what needs to be corrected so that there's even more freedom, and to move into that. That's manifestation, that's creation, that's full aliveness. But when we're living as the small self, we're like, I don't know if that's really true. When I learned the inner game of tennis, it was so powerful because I started learning oh, wait a minute. How do I let go? Of course, I still have the intention to be a good tennis player, to learn the game and do well, but I can release the attachment. And so when we release attachment, we soften our body. Do you think if you have a more supple, less tense body, you're going to be better or worse at the game of tennis? Way better. If you've got unnecessary tension in your body, your system can't do what you're asking it to do. So same with healing. When I was trying to heal myself, it was me, self one, the ego self, trying to learn more. I'd read a lot of books about mind body medicine, and maybe you have too. Have you learned the body can heal itself? Have you learned the mind and body are connected? Have you learned consciousness is creative and impacts the physical? Maybe not. Maybe this is all very new. But there's a difference between, I know that, and embodiment. There's a difference between understanding and embodying. So I'd read lots of books. I'd understood this. I doubled down on trying to learn more. And guess what happened? I got worse. I got more sick, more symptoms, more diagnoses, more stuck. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? And the ego self wants to get it right. But guess what? I had to learn, and which is what changed my life so profoundly, was letting go. That's what let self two show up. Actually creates way more. Letting go, surrender, actually allowed the life force to come through me and do it for me. Letting go, surrender, actually allowed more potency of the healing to take place. Letting go allowed me to release the stress, release the fear, so that my breath could do what it was designed to do, which was exhale that energy, strengthen my life force. And I healed within a very short time, and you can too. So here are some of the things that happen when we're in the sort of like, we're not in the game of surrender, we're in the inner game of self-healing. I've got to do it. Small self. We maybe, it's great to read books, get learning, watch this broadcast. But maybe we're like doubling down on that and like doing it in a way that's kind of exhausting. Or maybe we learned, certain foods are triggering me, but now we're like super rigid and restricted and afraid of foods. Maybe we understand this and you might hear yourself like, yeah, I already know that. But have you really let it in? Because I'll tell you something from myself. I have studied this for decades, many decades, because I was really young when I had my awakening experience. I am still learning. I am still fascinated. Like if I heard someone giving exactly this information in a broadcast, I would be so profoundly inspired, because I've learned that being receptive, beginner mind, is always strengthening self too. It's always strengthening the wisdom in me. So even if it's like, yeah, I know this. I already know that. Let me just go to the next thing and learn the next thing. That's self one. Self one is trying to play tennis, trying to learn tennis. You can't actually do that. You can only be the I am self who already knows. And that I am self brings your body the wisdom, so your body gets fed with that. So your body knows. So now your body expresses that truth. It's a whole different process over here than what we try to make it over here. So if you find you're like, I'm kind of exhausting myself trying to heal, that's an indicator that self one is trying to grab onto this and run with it. The entire sympathetic nervous system gears up self one, fight, flee, freeze. When we release that, which is like the magical moment, self two comes in, relaxation response. Relax, restore, repair, revitalize, regenerate, regain your health. In the parasympathetic state, everything works very differently. And that is why such quick, fast, amazing amounts of healing can take place for so many people. It's really about, so what do I need to do to hand it over to the manager? What do I need to do to let go of self one and hand it over to self two, right? So I've got to become aware of what I'm doing. First of all, like, wait a minute, check it out. There I am again. Then I've got to allow surrender. So the thing about surrender that's so weird is you want to do it. How do I surrender? And guess what? The one who's asking, how do I surrender, is always self one. Because self two is the wholeness. It knows there is no how, right? There's either, what is it? Yoda has said, there's do or not do. There is no how, So to self one, it's like, what? I don't even understand that. Or it's like a nice bumper sticker, but yeah, give me the real thing. So that's why you gotta appreciate what surrender really is. So if I'm like holding something, okay, and I want to let it go, wait a minute, it's not the doing and the action and the contraction. A lot of energy goes into holding. It's actually just letting go, right? So if all I did was relax my hand It happens for me. Gravity is on my side. Many other electromagnetic forces are on my side and happening for me and allowing that phenomenon to take place. So it's way more of a softening than it is of a doing. And that's the thing that's so tricky about surrender, is to self one, it looks like I'm doing nothing. And in self one's myriad of programming, beliefs, perspective, doing nothing is going to get me into a lot of trouble. If I'm being chased by a tiger and I do nothing, the tiger's going to eat me. If I'm dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome and you're telling me to do nothing, you're crazy. I'll just turn into a blob on the couch. It will overtake me. Yeah, that's what self one thinks. So the big vantage point I have found when I'm in self one, to access self two and allow the surrender and letting go. Curiosity. Is this true? Because self one is so sure I'm screwed if I let this thing catch up with me. I'm not letting go. Are you freaking crazy? Is this true? Is it true that letting go, maybe just soften my body a little more, is going to deplete me, is going to make the illness worse? See, because the perception is like the dragon is chasing me. But the reality is that chronic fatigue or that inflammatory process that leads to MS or ulcerative colitis or autoimmune Hashimoto's, whatever you want to call it, whatever it shows up as, isn't a dragon chasing you. It's a process being fed in your system, being created and recreated, being amplified. So if I just, let go, I relax my body 2%, do I develop more inflammation or less? Do I more overrun my adrenal glands or less? Is there more restoration? And so this is all about being a better receiver. As soon as I soften my body, I let go. I become curious about all the things self one is saying. That sounds so convincing. I just get curious. It's not that we reject them. Don't want to reject self one because self one is the rejector. So you're just like strengthening the ego. Just get curious. Is this true? Question mark. I wonder if the opposite could be true. What if nothing about this is true? What if, as I soften, more health comes in? What if, as I soften, more clarity, ideas, and action can come in, right? Because whether we're in like a really sticky situation, whoa, you don't understand, this one's really a conundrum, or it's a health challenge or relationship thing, moving into surrender allows all the wisdom to come in. Our brain works differently. Our physiology works differently, decreasing stress hormone and all the, inflammatory cascade, improving our vitality and all the restoration of health. But it also allows us to see things we didn't see before. And it's the difference, like it can make or break a relationship. The reactive patterns, no, you don't understand, I have to tell you my truth. Versus, oh, wait a minute, who's showing up in my relationship now? I'm curious. I'm 2% softer. I'm more open, right? Receptivity. Now I can show up in my relationship. It's a whole different me that's showing up. It will change every single thing in your life. And you can trust it because the life force that created everything that's here and everything you see probably can be fully trusted with handling you being even more fully alive. You can't create more of what you don't have. So don't try to fix the problem. Look at, how can I step into greater freedom? How can I step into greater vitality, resource, well-being, love, joy? That is always, always, always going to strengthen not only self too, but your body, your life, your business, your money, your, everything. So try it on. Let me know your thoughts about this. Have you read The Inner Game of Tennis? I love Tim Galloway. I had this really cool story because I wanted to meet him so badly. So I reached out to his team and I tried this and I tried that and I was sending emails, so enthusiastic about it. And then finally I shared in one of my groups and said, oh, this is really cool book, and this really cool work. And I really want to meet this guy, Tim Galloway. And someone in the group said, Tim Galloway is my uncle. I was like, that is just so cool, right? I had surrendered it. I wasn't like trying harder, figuring out. I sent the emails, I let it go, and I reveled in the desire. Oh, wouldn't this be awesome? Wouldn't that be so cool? When you revel in the desire and the end outcome, you are more receptive. That's the difference between surrender, right? I have this desire and I'm going to surrender, versus attachment. I have this desire and I'm just so jealous that everyone else gets to have it and I don't. You won't be reveling in the frequency of that desire. It's not the same thing. So every moment is an opportunity to either strengthen self one, double down on what's not working, / control, attachment, or surrender. Soften, strengthen self two, exponentially enhance your own healing and expansion and all the amazing things that are ready to happen in your life, and move forward in that truth. So that is my invitation to you. I want to share where my tools and work are found. I've written the best-selling book, The MindBody Toolkit. It has 10 tools you can use anytime, anywhere to ignite self, to ignite powerful healing, to ignite this inner wisdom. It will show you. It is always there. No matter how contracted you feel, it is always there. And you will begin to access it more and more as you practice these tools. It's at drkimd.com/book for the version where we give you some videos that go along with it to enhance your experience. It's also on Amazon, MindBody Toolkit. I also have really powerful online courses to guide you through this journey. You are an expansive and infinite being, and you can trust that and surrender and watch the magic happen. Share with me in the comments, have you ever noticed that in your life before? Are you noticing anything right now in this moment? Like if you were to just soften your body, are you more receptive to this intelligence that's coming through the broadcast? It's not coming from me. It's your same intelligence that comes through you, but something I say may ignite it. It may ignite that light in you and that truth in you. Is that happening? Are you noticing it? Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you're like, I'm doubling down on my closure and I don't even see where I'm doing it. I'm so triggered. Appreciate that, because just the act of appreciating it begins to unwind the pattern and let you move into more of self too. That is my invitation to you. My site is drkimd.com. There are powerful home study programs. You can begin with the instant elevation if you're ready to go forward on this journey. There are tools, audios, videos that will begin working to unwind your subconscious system, to allow the resolution of where self one has been running the show and in the driver's seat, and get self two in the driver's seat for you. That is at drkimd.com/IEP. I'll be here broadcasting live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain in the MindBody community on Facebook and in my YouTube channel, Dr. Kim Duramo. I'm so, so grateful to connect with you this way. Share your comments, share your questions. We will be pulling one or two of them each week to do some short videos and clips to speak more fully to these topics. Sending you my love. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, stay surrendered.